Right now, protests around the country and around our region calling on D.C. to pass better gun control measures, while more questions are emerging about the likelihood of that. We're going to take you live to, in many ways, the center of the movement, Newtown, Connecticut. And next, same-sex marriage and the High Court. For many gay couples around the country, this is much more than just a legal matter. It's about how they're able to live in love. And later, a police officer grilled on the witness stand today as the stop and frisk trial continues in Lower Manhattan. Dominic Live will have more on that as well. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. We'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about autism, and we'll have a firsthand perspective from someone who lives with it in their family. We are going to get to a lot in the next 60 minutes, but first, welcome to the show here. We're going to bring you 4 of the top issues facing our region. Guns, as I mentioned, same-sex marriage, stop and frisk, and as I said, autism. And with the numbers out, many of you out there know this is not just a conversation, but for far too many, a way of life. Tonight, we're going to get into all of that and the personal stories about dealing with them. But we begin with guns. A new ad from Mayor Michael Bloomberg as his group, a pro-gun control group, obviously, Mayors Against Illegal Guns. It came out today, and it features the parents of Newtown victims. The ad, which will run in Connecticut, it pushes state lawmakers there to pass an assault weapons ban and universal background checks. Here are just a portion of it.
We dropped Jesse off in the morning, December 14th. He gave me a hug and a kiss, said, "I love you, Dad, and I love Mom, too."
Our daughter, Grace, was 7 years old. She couldn't wait to go to school. She would skip down the driveway.
My sister loved teaching at Sandy Hook. Every student would say, "I hope I get Miss Soto next year."
Lauren loved children, and she always wanted to be a teacher.
I got a 911 call that there was a shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
We need to remember the 26 victims who lost their lives.
I want to prevent any other family from having to go through what we're going through.
Don't let the memory of Newtown fade without doing something real.
Now, that ad played in Connecticut, 35 victims and mothers who lost children to gun violence, they gathered at the White House adding their voices to President Obama's call for Congress to pass stricter gun control legislation.
Why wouldn't we want to make it more difficult for a dangerous person to get his or her hand on a gun?
Now, that's a call here echoed in rallies across America. At least 29 states where gun control advocates are taking part in a national day to demand action. That's what they're calling it. And Files' one, Kimberly Wallace. She is at a rally now in a place, as we said, really started this national dialogue all over again, Newtown, Connecticut. Kim?
Absolutely, definitely stirred up that conversation. The conversation is ongoing. The rally, hundreds of people just showed up, and hundreds of people showed up. They were here for quite a long time, since about 3:30, and they just broke up. But I am here with the Milgrams. We have Eric, Lauren, and Dalton. Now, Lauren is a first grader from Sandy Hook Elementary School. Lauren, on December 14th, you were at school. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened to you on that day?
Well, first I got on the bus, and then I got to school. And then we were all unpacked, and then we were all sitting down at the circle. And then my teacher was reviewing what was going to happen, and today what we were going to do. And then suddenly we heard two loud bangs. First one, and then a second, and then our teacher leaded us to the bathroom, which was in our classroom, and then she closed the door.
Well, that must have been pretty scary, huh?
Uh-huh, and then we all had, some of us had to stand on the toilet, so she could open the door and then put this thing on the door, sure, and then she turned on the lights. It's like, then we stayed in there for a little bit, and then the police came,
So you guys were all in the bathroom staying safe. The teacher had brought you into that bathroom, right?
Uh-huh. And the police came and we weren't sure. But then our teacher asked to see the police badge, and they showed the police badge.
Right. Sounds like your teacher did her, and she saw the police badge, and luckily you are safe. It's a story that she likes to tell. Now, Eric, Eric is Lauren's father. Now, Mr. Milgram, tell me, as a parent, obviously you came out here to the rally today. You have a son and a daughter. Your son's in 4th grade, your daughter, like I said, in 1st. Tell me a little bit about why you came out here today.
We can't say that what happened at Sandy Hook is rare, or that it's normal, or that it's the price we pay for freedom. And these are the two most important reasons, why I'm here today. And I knew a lot of those kids and those teachers personally who are no longer with us. Something changed inside me that day.
I feel like a lot of people have the same sentiment. A lot of people out here saying that things changed, and that's why you were out here today rallying for gun safety legislation. Why are you in support of it?
Because I believe there's a lot more common ground than either side would want you to believe. I was a competitive marksman in high school. I loved to shoot. At one time, I probably owned 9 different weapons. When I decided to have kids, I knew what a burden and responsibility that was, and so I took measures to make sure that my guns would always be safe and that nothing bad could happen with them, especially with kids in the home. I think there's a lot more common ground than we realize, but neither side really is ready to have an honest debate despite what's happened here.
Sure, and you talk about the common ground. There were also ralliers here, Rich, that were in support of the gun laws. They said that they came out in support and to defend their Second Amendment, obviously, of the Constitution. Lots of people came out here today. There was a lot of commotion, a lot of people beeping their horns as they read the signs that said, honk if you support gun safety legislation. So a lot of community out here today, and we certainly saw it and felt it as well. We're live in Newtown. Kimberly Wallace. Rich?
Thank you very much, Kim. Now, think about it. If there was one place you'd imagine where changing legislation after the Newtown massacre wouldn't be hard, to be Connecticut. But the fate of new legislation in that state, and many of you listen to me from Connecticut, as it stands tonight, is unclear. Lawmakers, they propose a lot of gun control bills since the massacre, but nothing has gained significant momentum. And similarly in D.C., lawmakers, they're going back and forth here. The president says they're trying to run out the clock. Gun rights supporters say that what the president wants is an overreach, but at the end of the day, bipartisanship still something in the far distance. But then you look at New York. Comprehensive gun control package. It was signed into law in January. And now, Eric Schneiderman, New York State AG, has announced that his office has reached voluntary background check agreements with many of the state's largest gun show operators. Now, these gun show operators, not under edict here, but voluntarily have agreed to conduct background checks for every single firearm sold at their gun shows. And we spoke to the Attorney General earlier today about just that and more.
With the gun show operators, we conducted an undercover sting operation and demonstrated that there were a lot of guns being sold at New York's gun shows without background checks that were required by law. And when we confronted the operators with this, instead of fighting about it, they sat down with us and we worked out a model set of procedures that can be used in gun shows all over the country, where we tag all guns going in. And if you're trying to leave with a gun you didn't bring in, you have to have a receipt for that you had showing that you had a background check done, and it's not hard. And the operators like it, and the sportsmen and gun enthusiasts in New York State overwhelmingly support background checks. These are good people who do not want criminals and folks with dangerous mental health problems to get their hands on guns.
What do you say when people point out, and they have to me, hey, look what happened to Governor Cuomo's poll numbers since he passed this. I run a risk here. There's a political risk for me. Is this politically dangerous to push this hard for this expansive amount of gun restrictions?
If it's politically dangerous, it's just because we haven't done our work. We just haven't been out talking to people. We haven't been explaining these ideas. I think that there has been a weakness as far as organizing goes and public education on the part of supporters of stronger gun safety and gun control laws. And you have to give credit where credit is due. The folks on the other side are well organized and disciplined and have done a lot of work over the last 30 years.